Howdy folks, welcome to another episode of Vern's Misadventures. In this one we're going to pick up the old project Apple Cobbler. We're going to make a few changes, a little change of direction, change of mission. But it's going to be, I think, still a pretty cool old project, and we'll get into it. Alright, so this is Apple Cobbler here. The power supply, of course, resides outside. And it's got an Apple II Plus case. For those of you who haven't seen the whole series, I imagine there's going to be a few. And if we pop the lid here, look inside, we see that inside here we have a full ATX motherboard. It's got a Pentium dual core processor, 8 gigs of RAM, and an RX 580. What it doesn't have is any convenient ports on the outside, because I put the motherboard in sideways so I wouldn't have to butcher the case in order to connect to everything inside. The truth of the matter is we only have this little bitty hole here and this little hole here as far as really places to mount anything on a panel. And with so much of it taken up by the wiring harness for the power supply, I don't know. But I would definitely like to get a couple of USB ports. At minimum, get the USB ports to where they're convenient. And another thing we're going to have to do is do something different with the power switch. What we had done before is I made this keyboard out of some keycaps, piece of plastic, piece of cardboard basically, and some glue. And it filled the giant gaping hole in the case, and it made it look a lot better from a distance. You get anywhere closer though, you start seeing that I made this. Another case where, it was a neat idea, not necessarily a good idea. But one of the cool features of this keyboard that I had built was it uses the P key for the power button and the R key for the reset button. So we're going to have to replace the power key and the reset button as we take this goofy keyboard that I had made out of here and replace it with one that could actually do some work. The keyboard that I chose was this one here. I got this from Amazon too. So one of the reasons I chose this one is it was not too wide. So size wise it appealed to me. My wife's going to be the primary user, and she said she liked the way the keys looked and everything. So basically our idea is we're going to just basically mount this wireless keyboard onto the front of the Apple II Plus case, and we'll have a keyboard and a mouse pad that, it'll all be in one place. There wasn't a whole lot of workspace left by the time we put the computer and the monitor and all of her Cricut stuff. So we don't want to waste a lot of space by making room for a separate keyboard, a separate mouse, and all that good stuff. If she desires an extra mouse or whatever, a regular mouse, then she can always plug one in and use it. But she won't need that as desk space becomes a premium. She won't need that to use the computer. So I kind of like that aspect of it. I don't think it looks bad on there. And once we get that faux keyboard out of the way, then I think that it'll set down a little better, and we'll see what we got. My wife bought a bunch of these deals here, and what they are is they're like for hanging pictures. So you got basically two halves of Velcro, right? And I'm thinking we can mount the keyboard to the Apple II Plus with these Velcro strips, and that way we won't have to worry about it slipping off or falling off or whatever. But we'll be able to rip it off of there and change the batteries when we need to. All the fun stuff. So we'll use some of these to stick it on there. So in that aspect of it, it should be good that we have this space right there and on either side of where the original keyboard would have gone. But that is the plan. And then for the power switches, the power switch and the reset switch, I just got some of these. I ordered a bag of these switches. When I bought this thing, it was just an empty case, so don't hate on me. I wasn't the one that stripped it down. I could possibly put the switches up front and drill holes in the metal bottom piece. Somehow that seems more palatable than drilling holes in the plastic for some reason. So that's our switch idea for the power and reset switch. So I'll have to solder those on, figure out where they're going to go and solder them in. Some time ago I began working on this idea for the rear ports. I made this little template out of some poster board basically. So I had made this template, kind of trying to figure out where we could put things. Yeah, this is an Ethernet port. So looks like that little hole over here on this side, you can see my finger moving around, that was going to be for the Ethernet port. And looks like we got 2 USB ports and a phone jack and a mic jack so that we could use the headsets with it as a gaming computer. I don't know if I necessarily need all that anymore with the new use case. Alright, so I'd gotten this stuff here, and this is just a short HDMI cable, right? And it's got this adapter right here so that you can plug in a longer HDMI cable. And so it's kind of cumbersome in its current form to try to hook up an HDMI cable in here. It's doable. It's not fun. I was thinking we just drop this in one of these holes here and be done with this. We'll just leave this loose in the back, and that way it's easy to plug in a monitor or unplug it if you were going to do something with the machine, take it out for maintenance, whatever. It's easier to disconnect. Ethernet's currently on the template. Like I said, that's just one more thing we could easily simplify, and kind of just drop it in here, you know. Is it beautiful? No, but who's going to see it? Doesn't matter, you know. And we basically plug that in. So if we just did those two things there, then that just leaves us the USB ports. And well, it's USB and the phone jacks. I mean, we could basically get this all rigged up today for use if we just eliminated the rear panel idea. I like the idea, but I don't know how well I'm going to be able to execute it with what tools I have. So it's tough decisions to be made, and that's kind of why I got stuffed in the box and forgotten about, because I'm not real sure the direction I wanted to go. Decisions, huh? So realistically, we don't need the dongle for the keyboard. We don't need that dongle outside, so we could just plug it into the motherboard, and we don't need to use up one of our 2 USB ports we would have with this setup. I could make this real simple and just basically lay these right here and then route the cables on around to the front of the motherboard on the other side, kind of like so. I don't know if that reaches or not. That was the original plan. And there we go. So then we'll have external USB ports to plug in the printer. Well, the Cricut. We'll have external Ethernet to easily connect the internet. I mean, these are things we could have set up today, and we wouldn't have to worry about fabricating that rear panel. Yeah, let's say we went ahead and went that route. I'm going to show you a couple other things I've been wanting to do to this machine for a while. The other rig I had decommissioned had another 8 gig stick of RAM we can add to this, so that would give it 16 gigs. And I got another 100 gig SSD we could add to it. Alright, so step one, let's get the pieces off of the template that we're not going to use anymore. Alright, well, that's the mock-up right there. It's got the port ports and whatnot in. So now that we've done all that, we got to take it all apart so we can separate the halves here. Lay all that in here. Turn it. We got our quick disconnect here that we did some time ago. So that's easy enough. Now I should be able to just lift this off. Got just about enough wire. Got just about enough wire for the power switch to fit maybe right in here. Alright, so I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we have it in there. Okay. So then the next thing, we'd have to hook this up. Look at this, the old Linus treatment. Kind of line these up and smash them together. We'll just use one. I could use two, but I'm just going to use one. And the next modification to make here, over here. So I do have this. That's a win. Here and plug into this. That much is done. We just need a longer SATA cable. You don't have one yet. Yeah, we'll come back to this. Alright, we may need to make a note. So we got blue and white. And we got yellow and white. Looks like blue and white is the power, and yellow and white is the reset. I'm not real sure where I want to cut them. Well, I know I'm not going to need them here anymore, so I'll cut them here, I guess. And yellow and white. So now we just have the quick disconnect with the lights. And we can take the keyboard off. Next thing to do here, get it cleaned up some. Wipe down. Got dirty sitting around. Yeah, it's currently turned off. Try turning it on, but probably it needs to be charged. So I didn't realize it had rechargeable batteries in it. I thought it would just be like, apparently, what we're going to have to do to charge the batteries. Oh, it's lit up. Maybe it's charged already. Maybe I'll put those USB 2 ports in there. I'll just leave them in there. Alright, so I'm just going to leave this charge cable out for right now. Get this lined up. Sorry. Alright, let's see. And that can go kind of like right here. So it looks like we need to trim a little bit. Yeah, that fits a little nicer now. None too pretty, but I guess it'll work. Right. So now we just got to figure out where we want it before we put it there for good. Okay, well, there it is. It's on there. Alright, well I guess that's it for the case mods, or the upper case. That's it. That's on there. So the next thing, let's get back to the lower one. Okay. Back onto here. Let's see. I want to point out that the dongle's right there. Got to deburr the outside of the hole. I'll do that with 3/8 bit. So yeah, yellow could go here. Now we're jamming. So there's the switches in place. And we'll just snug up the nuts. That one's done. That'll do it. Look at that. Power. Reset. Now we just gotta wire them up. So, yeah, I'm going to add some wire length to it. Alright. Here we go. So it looks like the way I got to wire it up there is that the blue and white is the power. So we'll just strip that. And this one. Alright, everything's stripped. Here we go. We'll turn on the soldering iron. This ought to be fun. We'll put this down on there and we'll shrink it up here in a minute. Let's see. Need the other one we cut. That'll go. Try that again. There we go. Next, we'll put some more solder on it. That'll work. So get the heat shrink going here. That on that one. This one on this one. We'll do our thing. There's that one. I guess that's that. Here we go. It'll be okay. Come up a little short on the heat shrink tubing there. I don't feel like doing the whole thing over. I really don't. It'll be fine. Yeah, should just leave those up for right now. Alright, we got that other SATA cable we got put on. That's going to go there. Yep. That'll probably work. So much easier to put this stuff in now. So there's our Ethernet port. I'll just lay that right there. Here's our HDMI port. Plug that in right here. And lay that up here. Yeah. I'll lay that up there. Here's the one we wanted for the charger, but I didn't manage to capture the other. Flip back, I guess. Okay. Now everything's screwed again. It's not ideal, but it's a workable solution, I think. Okay, so we just tuck that up in there. Yep. So what I've done, though it's far from ideal, I think it's a workable solution. I got these guys over here. There it is, in all its glory. There it is. So we gotta clean the lid. Alright, got her all together. I tested her for a little bit. She's good to go. Reports 16 gigs of RAM, and also remapped all the documents, pictures, all the libraries to the second drive. So that's all done. Camera died, so I couldn't record it, but that's alright. It was pretty straightforward stuff. Alright, issue we got now is that this HDMI adapter dealy bobber we put on there is sticking out too far in the back, so we're gonna have to reroute it or do something different with it. So I'll take that over here. That really sucks. We'll just run the HDMI cable through, and that'll be that. Seems like it did. Alright. So then with that done, I just drop that there. I put the lid on. Easy. There, we're all set. Ready to move it to its new location. Alright, well there it is in its new home. It's all hooked up and ready to go. So, nothing left to do now is log me out and log Anita in. But, hey, hope you found the content interesting. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel, will you? And with that, I think we'll see you in the next one. So y'all take care.